So I'm going to go over what I would be doing if I was to restart my Amazon reselling business from scratch right now. So if I was just starting again, if I had to restart everything from, point zero, what I'd be doing. And I'd basically both go over two scenarios, what I'd be doing if I didn't have capital, like, I only had maybe a few $1,000s to invest, and what I would be doing if I did have capital, if I had a lot of capital. Both scenarios very important because I'd definitely approach things in a different way. Now, if you don't know me, I've been selling on Amazon for more than 8 years, or roughly 8 years. And I've made quite a bit of money, like quite a few $1 million. And I actually have very high profit margins compared to most other wholesale businesses and operations, because they try to go all out volume, where I try to get very profitable products and resell them. And I maintain quite a large profit margin of that. And, so that sustains my lifestyle. I've been doing that for many years. Been doing it completely remotely from Australia, and I sell in the US. So 100% here. I do all my work here in this office, and all the stuff that I do, all the sales that I make occur in the US. So it's quite comfortable and very flexible. I like that portion of it, and it's allowed me to do a lot of other things on the side. I've built software that helps Amazon sellers, so that's been very exciting as well. And becoming a CEO of a software company is very exciting. But my grassroots is Amazon reselling, so that's what I do. So let's get into what I'd be doing if I started. Now, I'm going to first start off as, I'm going to talk about what I'd be doing if I didn't have capital, if I only had maybe a few $1,000s to get into it, and I was trying to make some money. This obviously fits into the profile of a lot of people that are from non-Western countries. Like, for example, if you're in, I'm in Australia, salaries are quite high here. The US salaries are usually quite high. Some, like England, Canada, all these types of countries have high salaries. Then there are other countries. So, for example, I've also lived many years in Greece, and the average salary there is about 1,000 euros, or even less. Actually, it's like 700 euros. And then there are a bunch of other countries in Europe, that might have lower salaries, and for this profile of person, obviously, I can't say, hey, put $30,000 into this business. It's very hard. So that's you'll be approaching this whole thing in a different way if that was your salary, as opposed to if you had, if you had $50,000 on the side and you wanted to get started into this business. So obviously the approaches are very different. So, and I understand both approaches because I've lived through both scenarios. I've lived, for example, in Greece for many years, where the salary was very low and it was very hard to put 5,000 euros on the side. And I've lived obviously in Australia. I've worked in Australia, where I was, much easier. I could put $50,000 on the side here. That was my scenario, but some people might be struggling with that. But it's much easier to put like $10,000, $20,000 on the side, for example, in a country like Australia, than it is in some European countries or some other countries around the world. So what I'd be doing now if I was just starting as someone with not that much capital. So one of the biggest constraints when starting a new Amazon business is the gating factor. You're gated in a lot of categories, a lot of ASINs. So what gated means is that you are not approved to sell a product. So you might find a product that might be profitable, and your numbers work out. Then you try to list it and become a seller of this product, and you find that you're not allowed to. Amazon tends to ask you for invoices in order to approve you. Now, a lot of people really focus hard on getting ungated and which invoices work to get ungated, and which suppliers or retailers can get you ungated. Now, in my experience, it's actually quite hard to get ungated using invoices. In my opinion, is to ignore the invoices. One of the strongest things that get you ungated on Amazon is having a good sales record. So having high account metrics. Now, you as a seller don't really know your internal account metrics. Apart from your account health, you don't really know how Amazon sees you and what's approved. But when you start selling a lot of products, when products sell off fast, and they've been selling off for a few months, you've been selling some products, all of a sudden, like a massive portion of Amazon's catalog just automatically gets ungated. So you click request approval, and you just automatically get approved. Amazon doesn't even ask you for an invoice anymore. So a lot of people, like, they're actually shocked when this happens, because they're just clicking on things and they just get approved. But to get to that point, your best bet is to sell what you can sell, like to list and try to sell what you can sell, not try to sell the stuff that requires approval with an invoice. So in my opinion, is just ignore all those and try to focus on things that you are able to sell. I know it's hard, but it's the way it's going to have to be, especially when you're starting off. It's the first obstacle that you have to surpass. So what I'll be doing is I wouldn't be initially going straight to like wholesale suppliers. I would start that process. I would go and form my LLC in the US. That's probably a few $100s. I would go to a registered agent. You'd probably want to go to either Wyoming or Delaware if you're overseas. If you're already in the US, just go to the state that you're currently living in. It'd probably be your best option. There's also another option. You might be able to go to a prep center, which is in a state which has no sales tax. So that's an option that you might think of, because if you're doing online arbitrage, you're subject to sales tax because you're not buying them at wholesale. At wholesale, it's not wholesale value, so you can't get past that fact. So yeah, if I was starting off with a small amount of capital, I'd form an LLC, and while that LLC is forming, I'll start doing product research. I'll try to find retailers online, which basically, I can find products that I can resell on Amazon for a profit. Now, if you're subscribed to Astro Advanced Analytics, there's a plan called the OA Pro, which is Online Arbitrage Pro plan, which is it's $50 a month. There are certain discounts available if you're part of my Telegram group. But anyway, it's $50 a month, and what you'll do, it's extremely simple. It's pretty much the only software you'll need for research. You'll basically go to Amazon listings, Amazon products, and then you just click on a button there, which is the AI vendor search. And the AI vendor search will basically give you a list of all the of many retailers that you could find that sells that product on Amazon. So if you find a product that sells for $50 a month, and you click on this AI vendor search, you might find a supplier of it that sells it for $20 a month. Now, after all the Amazon fees and the referral fees and all the things that Amazon charges you, you might be left with $10, $15 of profit from this product. So if it sells 50 times a month, or you can make 50 sales of this, $50 times 15, so $15 times 50 units per month, that's around, what is that? That's $750 worth of profit from this one unit alone. So you can profit from this one unit. So if I was basically just starting out, I'll be doing this all day. Okay. So you will be gated in a lot of products. That's a given. Like, there will be a lot of products where you're gated. There'll be some websites that, might be scammy websites. You need to do your due diligence and make sure that the website you're looking at is a legit website. But that's what I'll be doing all day. I'll be spending 5-6 hours just doing this all day, looking for products that firstly, have profit, have high sales. I can actually sell the product. So I'm not gated and it doesn't require invoiced. I can actually physically sell this product on Amazon. I can list it and sell it. Then I'll need to make sure that the website or the person I'm sourcing it from is legit. So there's all these scam advising websites and anti-fraud websites. So I'll make sure that I can actually sell the product I can actually buy the product legitimately. Like if they only offer you payment through PayPal, they're not legit. Just know that. If PayPal is their only option to actually pay them, they're not legit. Okay, just letting you know that. Now, and I'll just be doing that, all day. Do it for a month. You'll find some fucking good products if you do that. Like, I've found so many products just that way, and I don't even do online arbitrage. I don't do it, but I found some real good products, and I just had to jump on the option. I'm like, I'm making 200% ROI. Of course, I'm going to buy it. So that's also happened. So that's what I would be doing if I only if I didn't have much capital. So I would be doing that for a month, and if you keep doing that, you're sure to find a few opportunities that are going to make you a couple $100 per ASIN. So if you can do that for a while, you might be able to find 10, 15 different ASINs that are going to make you a couple $100 each. Now, at the end of the month, once the sales cycle finishes, it might take 1 or 2 months for the sales cycle to complete, where from spending the money to actually getting the money back into your bank account, that might take a couple months. But you may have made $1,800 in that time span, and that's a lot of money. So that's the way, for the people, especially starting off, that's a lot of money. So that's the way I would approach it if I didn't have capital. I wouldn't be looking at VAs. You don't have capital for a VA. The software expenses are going to keep them to a minimum, because if you go down the traditional way, you're probably gonna have to get like 4 or 5 different software, and you end up spending quite a bit of money. Whereas if you just go for Astro, the OA Pro plan, it's $50 a month. It's just one software. It keeps things simple. It finds suppliers and vendors for you. All you have to do is just go through Amazon, the actual Amazon.com page, and look for products that meet certain criteria. You'd combine it with DS Quick View, which is a free tool. You'd combine it with that tool, and you just go through all these Amazon listings, run a search. If you don't know how to do that, there's other videos that I have that show you what you can do in that scenario. I'll post them in the description of this video. So that's what I'll be doing if I didn't have capital. Now, let's assume I had capital. I had $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and I want to go hard into this business. Now, first, of course, is education. You need to know what you're doing. So you can't just, I would not recommend spending a lot of money without knowing what you're doing, because we're talking about a lot of capital. So if I would not spend $50,000 on my first order if I was just starting out. First is educating yourself, because one of the things that you should be doing if you have that amount of money is you probably should hire a virtual assistant to do some of the heavy legwork for you. It's a very smart thing to do. There's all these virtual assistants around the world. They're looking for an income, and they're more than willing to put a lot of work, to do a lot of work for you for $500-600 USD a month. So they're very willing, because that's a good salary in their country. That's like the equivalent of making $8,000-9,000 in the US, for example, or for some of these people. Maybe you might have to pay them a bit more, $600-700. It just depends on what type of work they're doing and how much you can afford, how much you can allocate to their work. So, but before you actually hire one of these VAs, I think it's also very important that you understand the process yourself. So you need to understand how you should be looking for a supplier, and how you can, from those suppliers, you can pinpoint the products that make sense, the products that have profitability, and the products that you can sell. So that's what I would be doing. I would be hiring a VA. But I'd make sure I'm educated and I understand the processes needed in order to become profitable on Amazon. Now, you're starting off again, so you're still going to have that same issue with the gating. That hasn't gone away. A lot of the products that you're going to try to sell are going to be gated. So you still need to focus only on the products you can sell. Again, that invoice issue pops up. I don't like to spend money on products. Like sometimes to get ungated on products, they might say, "Hey, show us an invoice with 300 units of this brand, and we'll try to ungate you." But there's a very high chance that you won't get ungated. I just bought 100 units of General Electric, like these little light bulbs. I was assuming I would get ungated, and I didn't get ungated. That's $200 lost, because it's $2 each for 100 units. So it's not the best method to try to get ungated with the invoices, unless you can really keep it to a minimum. So a lot of people try to get ungated on Nike brand by buying Nike socks. Nike socks are obviously much cheaper to buy 10 units of Nike socks as opposed to buying 10 Nike shoes, which might cost like $50-60 for you to buy them wholesale. So if you are going to try get ungated using an invoice, make sure you don't spend a lot of money, because that money might go to waste. So ungating is obviously going to be your issue. Now, assuming you've hired a VA and they start doing the whole process for you, what you're going to be doing is, part of their process is going to be finding wholesale suppliers. There's many methods to find wholesale suppliers. There's literally 20-30 solid methods to actually find wholesale suppliers. Trade shows, just Google searches. There's Astro's AI vendor search. There's all these methods to find suppliers that you can use constantly. So one of the VAs, what they're going to do is they're going to be looking for suppliers. That's very important. They start just looking nonstop for suppliers, and then you probably want to be the one that's going to contact the supplier, But if you've gone ahead and like made a professional email address for you and your VA, that's fine. And then they can contact them as well. They can contact the supplier. Then the supplier is going to, respond either positively or negatively. They tend to look down on Amazon sellers because there's too many of them contacting them. But if you know how to present yourself, you probably be able to get past that. But usually, 30 or 40% of the suppliers actually get back to you. Just know when it comes to suppliers, money talks. So if they feel that they can make a lot of money from you, they're going to react to you quite positively. If they feel that you're going to waste their time, they'll be negative. It's everything in life. If people, they respond positively to people that don't look like time wasters, people that are going to benefit them. So obviously, if you look and fit the profile of someone that's going to benefit the supplier, they'll respond to you positively. Okay, so after you get a response, you're going to try to create an account with these guys. You're going to try to create an account with them, and then they're either going to give you access to a price list, which is going to be usually going to be an Excel spreadsheet. Sometimes it might be in a PDF. If it's a PDF, just convert it to an Excel spreadsheet. You just use ChatGPT or all these converting tools that you can find on Google. But yeah, ChatGPT is probably the easiest way to do it. Just convert a PDF to Excel and make sure they maintain the UPC columns and the price columns and all these types of things that they have there. So you want to get that. Other rare times, they might have an online shop. The online shop is the slowest process because you have to go through them. You have to go through all the products one by one, or if you have the ability, if you understand how to code or can hire someone, you can get someone to run a script and just pull all the data. Pull all the data or data mining type of thing where they grab all the data points from the website shop, and then they can convert that to an Excel, and then you can run the Excel. Now, after the Excel, you probably again want to upload it to Astro Advanced Analytics. When you're doing wholesale, if you're using Astro Advanced Analytics as opposed to using all the conventional tools on the market, the normal bulk scanners, so again, you only need the one tool if you're using Astro Advanced Analytics. You don't need the other tools. But if you're not using Astro Advanced Analytics, you're probably going to need to scan. You'll need one tool to scan. You'll probably need a couple other tools to fully analyze the ASINs to make sure that they're profitable or not. But if you are using Astro Advanced Analytics, you don't really need those other tools. It's a mass product analysis engine all in one. So you can really go through these lists much faster. Like if you're going to go through a price list of 20,000 UPCs or 50,000 UPCs, for example, without Astro, the actual scanning process is faster, 100%. It's going to be faster with a normal scanning tool. But then what happens after the scanning is you'll probably spend 2-3 weeks just analyzing all the ASINs. Whereas with Astro, you probably spend 2-3 hours. So it's a huge difference. If you don't know how to use Astro, check out some of my other videos and you understand how much faster the process of finding the profitable products within a list is with Astro as opposed to all the other tools. And again, you only need one tool as opposed to needing 4 or 5 tools. So back to the actual the process. So as soon as we receive the price list, you'll upload them to Astro. You will go over the products yourself so you can learn the process as well. And it's very important that you understand the process. You understand what's profitable and what's not. Your VA will mostly already know how to find these products, but it's also important you as a new seller will understand what's going on as well here. But eventually what you want to move over to is the model where you get your VA to just constantly analyze products, and then when they find the profitable goods, they let you know that they've uploaded them to a shortlist. They grab the profitable goods, the goods that either have high profit, sell in good volume, the ones that can basically make you money. Every ASIN that can make you at least $100 a month, they would put those in a shortlist. For you, and then all you have to do is analyze the shortlist every, however often you want to order. You'll analyze the shortlist. You'll see what ASINs are ungated that you can actually physically sell. Only focus on the products that you can sell. Obviously, just delete from the shortlist all the products that you can't sell, and then when you have a list, you just download the list from Astro as a purchase order and then send it off to your supplier and say, hey, Mr. Supplier, this is what I want to buy. Your supplier will get back to you saying, hey, we have these available, these aren't available. Let me know how you want to proceed. You pay them, you get the products, you send them to a prep center. If you're a remote online seller like me, if you're living in the US, for example, and you sell in the US, you probably, you can, if you want, have them delivered to your house, or if you have a warehouse, they deliver them to your warehouse. I prefer using the prep center because, in my opinion, it actually is cheaper, no matter what you think. People think that it's not. Like, getting your own warehouse is sometimes cheaper. I found that I can get my prep costs down to like 50 cents per unit, and even if I was scaling up heaps, and like heaps, and there are plenty of examples of this. They think that it's cheaper to own your own warehouse. I've found, like, I would. In the past, I was saying that, yes, it's cheaper to have your own warehouse after a certain point, if you're doing more than 10,000 units per month in sales. And looking at all these people that have their own warehouses, I can actually say that it's not, because there are many examples of people that have closed their businesses after having warehouses. Whereas if you really dive into the numbers, if you're able to pay 50 cents per unit to prep, there's probably no other scenario where it will be, more expensive, where having a prep center as opposed to a warehouse. It just ends up being so much faster and cheaper, because what you can do is you can focus only on research, finding the products, and you don't have to bog yourself down with hiring warehouse people, lifting all these pallets, preparing all these goods, bubble wrap, all these types of things. You just give it to a prep center and have them do it. But obviously this is considering prep centers that their prep services are less than $1. If they're charging $2, $1.50, it's not going to work. If they're charging 50 cents, 60 cents, like the ones I do, because I do high volume, the ones I use, they charge a very low amount. It works real well. You have less headaches, and again, based off some of the huge sellers out there with warehouses that have closed their shops down completely, I feel that the best way to do it is in a manageable way and use a prep center. So anyway, what then happens is the prep center gets the products ready, they prepare the item, they send it off to Amazon for you on your behalf, and they then send you an invoice for their services. Products arrive at Amazon, they sell, you make your profit. The amount reaches your account. There's a cash conversion cycle, which is its own art to understand what's going on. But basically, if you buy goods that sell off within a month, from the time of purchase until they're sent to Amazon, and then they sell off on Amazon, and then you get your money back, because money is delayed by about a week or so. A usual cash conversion cycle from start to finish is anywhere between 1.5 and 2 months if the products sell off within a month. But if the products take longer to sell off, it might be 3 months or more. But then basically you get your capital back plus your profit, and then you try to reinvest in more goods. So what you would then do is you would have your VA constantly looking for more products. If you want to go back to the products that you found that were profitable, all you have to do is go to Astro, refresh the list, and find products that are profitable, products that sold well, and just reorder them. Create another purchase order, reorder them, send them to Amazon, and just keep repeating the cycle. So that's what I would do basically if I had capital. I would hire a VA. I would have them, just search all day and look for wholesale sellers. And from the actual accounts we sign up with, constantly analyze the product list and send them, and find the products, present them to you. You choose the products, you create the listings on Amazon, you order the products when everything looks good that you can actually physically sell. Only focus on products you can sell. There's no point in focusing on products that need invoices, in my opinion, because it's becoming more and more rare where Amazon ungates based on invoices. You're better off, in my opinion, having high seller metrics to get ungated. It's just, I've been selling for more than, it's around 7.5 years I've been selling on Amazon. Getting ungated with invoices is getting harder and harder every year. But getting ungated based on your seller metrics, you'll be clicking on apply to sell, and they'll just be getting ungated, because if you're selling thousands of units every single month, 5, 6, 7,000 units every single month, everything just ungates. So that's why, in my opinion, don't beat your head about products that require approval with invoices. Just focus on the products that can sell. Anyway, get the products that you can sell, send them into Amazon. Buy the products from your supplier, send them to your prep center. Their prep center sends them to Amazon. Make your profit. Manage your store. Sometimes you might have to reply to a few messages from customers. The messages that actually come from customers are so few. Amazon handles most of the messaging. It's only when they want to send you a private message for a specific reason that they actually message you. So messages are, you don't even get many messages. Manage your reviews. There's a lot of reviews that you can remove if they're in regards to the FBA process. If they receive the product late, for example, and they give you a negative review, that's not on you, that's on Amazon. If a product arrives damaged, for example, that's again not on you, that's on Amazon. So you can instantly remove those reviews and just kind of manage your store. It really doesn't require that much time after you get into a rhythm. So that's why if you have capital, it's good. Even if you have a full-time job, okay? If you have like a 9-to-5 job, you're doing something else, and you want to throw a few extra hours into wholesale, into Amazon reselling on the side, once you kind of get everything set up, it can become a process where you just a few hours every night, where you're once a few times a week at least, where you work and you choose what you need to buy, send them into Amazon, and you're making a side hustle. And for a lot of people, for me as well, the side hustle has become much more profitable than my 9-to-5, or when I used to have a 9-to-5. Much more profitable, and just makes much more sense just to stick to this. That's what I would basically be doing if I was starting out, from the start. I'll probably do another video on how to actually get your account set up and what you need to do to get everything set up. Whether you're a foreigner, like a non-US person like me, or if you're, how to set things up if you're in the US and you want to sell in the US. So those are basically the two approaches that I would do and I would use if I was starting, from scratch. But knowing what I know, I'm giving this information off to you guys. I'm hoping, that you'd get the value that it has out of it, and actually try to, if you're serious about this business, if you like it, I'll be very happy if you do well. So if you want to chat about this with some other people that have done it, you can join my Telegram group. I'll link that in the description below. If the tool sounds interesting to you, Astro Advanced Analytics, if that sounds interesting to you, that will also be in the description below. If you join the Telegram group, you'll have access to a discount on Astro. So join the Telegram group if you want that. And if you have any other questions, just leave them in the comment section of this video. Anyway, thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next one.